find two ways where, you feel that you are triggered. What can you do right away? Even if it's just, being silent for a couple of minutes, just going back in your breath, find something because this what's going to help you to go to the long way.
You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Welcome to the No Labels, No Limits podcast. As you know, it's a podcast where we explore the power of leading from within and transforming challenges into opportunities. And today I'm thrilled to welcome Valerie Sandjivy, an adaptive leadership mentor with over 2 decades of corporate experience. She is the founder of Ellips, and as the founder, she helps leaders harness emotional intelligence, adaptability, and innovation to lead more effectively. And her unique approach blends structured leadership strategies with transformative personal growth. And what that does is it makes her a sought-after coach for executives and entrepreneurs alike. But today we're going to actually dive into all of her pillars of leadership and the support that she gives folks, but also a little deeper into soul-led leadership. So with that as a brief introduction, let's formally welcome Valerie to the podcast. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me in your show.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. Folks, I always get a chance to talk to folks before we actually click record and go live. And so, this is where you get just focused on where you live. So it's morning time for me and I say good morning as a greeting. And then I think I might want to ask her where she is. So she's 9 hours ahead of me. Not morning for her, it's evening. Her day is mostly done. So Valerie, welcome. Where are we talking to you with? Where are you living in the world right now?
I'm living in Paris, in France. So it's like basically almost the end of the day on Friday night.
You have big plans for the evening?
Oh yeah, I want to rest. It's been a long week, probably for you too.
Yes, but it doesn't feel long to me yet because it's still morning.
It will in a couple of hours.
Probably it will. But I would like for you to kind of talk about how you came to do the work you do. Like, where did you start? What landed you where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, I'm an engineer, which I didn't really want to be. If we have to dig into that, we can, but let's go to the other topics. So I'm an engineer, and I have a master's degree in an international business school. Spent 20 years in different positions up to C-levels, corporate positions. And I did 17 years of management and leadership. And I've started my own business 11 years ago. I should say only 11 years ago. I don't know if it's only or if it's a lot, where I'm, like you said, a business coach and a leadership mentor. So basically during those 20 years in those different corporate settings, I learned a lot. And basically I learned a lot. I want to say first about myself, and then you learn about people, because, the interactions with people, you learn about yourself. And that's what I love, I didn't know probably that, during those 20 years, but then, you figure it out afterwards inside, So basically, what the work I'm doing is like, I think everybody knows when we speak about leadership, everybody knows the basics. I feel that, there is so many people speaking about leaderships. And I feel that everybody knows the basics. And for me, the basics is the 4 pillars that I speak about. And when I'm going to talk a little bit about those, people will say, okay, that's what it is, when we speak about leadership. So the first one is like to lead ourselves. Like I always say, like, how do we want to try, or how can we dare even lead others when we don't know how to lead ourselves? The second one is about leading others. And when you are, in different, up to C-levels, you have people to lead, and they want, to show, the way and the direction and where we are going. So to lead others, this is the second pillar. The third one is about emotional mastery, but not only emotional mastery, which we speak a lot about, emotional intelligence. We speak about resilience. We speak about, the uncertainty in the world, the fears, it's all of that. But as well, I like to say, that's why I call it e-mastery, actually, the third pillar, because I like to bring another thing, which is excellence and vision, expansion. We spoke about expansion. We speak about expansion. What does it mean? How do we master that? And where, and to go where? That's what I want to dig into that. And last one, not the least, but the last one is like the soul care. The soul care, it's about, how can I find balance? Because at the end of the day, if I was, one who was working all the time, never resting, never, because I loved my job, I loved it. And then, when I was digging into a little bit more into leadership, and usually we speak about vision, in leadership. So we want leaders, we want to bring something, into the world. So what's the point to bring something into the world if I can't, enjoy that something I want to bring into the world? So that's why I said, okay, the fourth pillar, which is soul-led, it's like, how can I find this balance where there is time so I can enjoy, what I'm bringing to the world, so I can enjoy life. And enjoying life really depends on people, everybody enjoys a different way. So that's the fourth one. So those are the four pillars. And this is basic. I mean, basics, like for everyone who's speaking about leadership, everybody knows that. We know that we have to lead ourselves. We know that there is a team at one point. We know there is emotions. And we know that there is the balance if we don't want to burn out. I think it's probably what I want to say, the basics of the leadership. So
I think people know it, Valerie, like on an intellectual level, but then on an application, like on a day-to-day basis, I think people forget it. I do. I think it's easy, especially when you're in a leadership role and maybe a crisis comes up, right? And you've been the longest, maybe you were the founder, and it's fast and easy for you to see the solution, right? It's not leadership to fix it when you have people you're trying to lead, right? There's that kind of gap thing. So do you ever see that when you're working with folks who've been like the doers and now they need to be the leaders?
Yeah, actually, it's great because it's like the part of being a leader is, like you said, is to lead, to drive, to show the path. But for me, I prefer to say that we are walking, on the same line all together like that. What does it mean? Because if you are behind me, you are in my shadow, and I don't want that. I want you to work, with me. And what does it mean for you to be able to walk, on side by side? What does it mean? It means that we are able to see in the same direction, the vision, and we are able to be autonomous. That's important to be autonomous. So what does it mean to be autonomous for the team? It means that we know where we are going, we know the rules, and we know how to handle ourselves. But in order for the leader to have, a team who that can act like this, it means that we showcase that, first of all, and we give them, the tools, the means to be that, to embody that. So if I'm the quick fixer and I say, okay, this is the solution, just do that, which we can do, we can still do, but it means that we give advice, which is always good, of course, but do I make them grow? Do I foster growth if I do that? I'm not sure, all the time. So for me, I always said to my team, I want you to be able, to do whatever you have to do if I'm here or if I'm not. And later on, you might, be with a different team, with a different person, with a different leader, and I still want you to be able, to be autonomous. I don't want you to depend on me. That was never okay for me. Don't depend on me. Because, I might go myself, somewhere else, a different, company. I left, the corporate world. And, we don't want, to leave any position and feel that the company is going, to crumble. Nobody wants that, So it's how you foster that energy, this growth, this tools? How do you bring those tools? How do you allow people to fail? Like, I think it's the Amazon guy was saying to fail fast. But what does it mean to fail fast? It means that you fail and you don't, spend so much time on the failure and go in the rabbit hole, for so long and don't come back. You don't want to do that. So you want, to be able, okay, I failed. That's okay. Do we even want to use the word failure? I don't even want
It's more for me when it's something doesn't work out. I don't necessarily think it's a failure. I think it's good information, and let's not do it again. What's better? What's a better option, right?
Exactly.
Especially if I came up with the idea and it failed, and I've got a team around me. It's like, okay, that didn't work out so well. What would you guys recommend? Let's come up with something better. Because as a leader, I know I don't have all the best ideas.
No.
I'm not in the weeds and all the technical stuff, and so why pretend that I know it all?
Yeah.
But I do have a question for you. Do you work mostly with men or women?
Actually, I did both. I spent, among those 20 years, I spent 15 years working basically with men because I was working in the industry. So it was like a lot of men. I'm a mechanical engineer, so believe me, there was not a lot of men.
Oh, you were unique. You were a unicorn.
And then I spent 5 years in healthcare. In healthcare, you have a lot of women. A lot of women. And when I arrived actually in this position, they looked at me like, who is she, like, is she a woman? Is she a man? Is she... They told me that.
Her brain works all over.
I know. So it's not the same in the story. You can't use exactly the same way, especially.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how do you work differently with folks? Because I think people hear and interpret things like just what you said when people looked at you and are trying to figure you out, right? Wait, she's in our environment, but she doesn't fit the norm. And so what distinctions between working with men and women have you found that might be helpful for other leaders who are listening to you to think about going, oh, yeah, that applies to me?
That's a great question because actually there are differences. Even if we don't want to put differences, I mean, at the end of the day, there are differences and we need to take them into account. So for me, it was easier. I'm not necessarily proud of saying that, but it was easier to work with men. And then I was put in the environment to work with women and I learned a lot, actually. There was so much growth here. So basically, what is the difference? With men, actually, it's like you can be a little bit more straightforward. And I'm a very straightforward person.
You're an engineer. Come on.
Yes, I know.
Sorry, that would make sense to me. That you're going, okay, we speak the same, very direct, Yeah.
And let's not lose so many times, putting, wrong phrases. Let's go straight to what we have to do. And so I think with men, I don't want to say with all men and with all women.
I understand. You're generalizing, not saying everybody's this way.
No. So I was pretty straightforward. They liked it. They knew I was there if it was needed. And actually, my biggest team I ever had, it was actually only men. When I was, the head of the business unit, when I was in the US, actually in Detroit, I spent 7 years there. I had a team of 30 people, and it was basically only men. And I was the only woman. And sometimes they wouldn't refer me, they wouldn't see me as a woman because I was so much talking there, the way they were doing, So for me, basically, with men is so much straightforward. Tell me I'm telling you what you have to do. I'm sharing the vision, and we go and we grow, and there is less emotions. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
When it came to women, when I was in the healthcare, the day I arrived, it was kind of okay. I was like stepping on eggs because I didn't know, didn't learn. So it was like stepping on eggs. And it was very interesting because in my team, when I was there were 2 women who wouldn't, talk to each other. Basically, they were like in conflict. And I said, you know what? If we are going to work on this big project together, I don't want that. I want you guys to be able to talk to each other. So basically, I said, okay, what's going on? No, nothing is going on. I said, yes, of course something is going on because you guys are not talking to each other. They were not even saying hello in the morning. I see. And I told them, this, for me, this is not acceptable because it means that you are coming to a job, a work every day, knowing that you are going to sit next to someone that you are not going to address any words all day long. It should be, uncomfortable, within, I don't want that. So I said, I didn't do it like straightforward, like I would have done if I was, with men. I said, okay, let me talk with this one and let me talk with this lady. And then I did it, separately. And both of them told me what happened. It was before my time, And I said, you know what? Let's try to find a way. So this conflict is dissolved and then we can work together. Because we have a big project. We had a big project and we really wanted this project to be successful. It took probably 6 months, around 6 months. It was, little steps, baby steps, like, okay, no, I don't really want to. And then I could see like little changes, little by little. First of all, they were saying hi in the morning. Oh, this is a big step. And then little by little, they would, sit together and eat sometimes, not every day, together. And then when we were sitting in a room, working on the project, they would wait, for the other one to talk and not interrupting, saying, okay, well, you're saying whatever you are saying is not that. I'm going to tell you what's going on. They wouldn't do that anymore. And then, after 6 months, it was not my goal, but what happened after 6 months, they were, hugging, in the morning when they come at the office. I was not expecting that. It was not my goal, but I'm happy because it means that you are comfortable now with the other one. So it's a lot about emotions. It's a lot about like hard feelings, and we keep our feelings sometimes. And if there is something, with women, and I'm a woman, so I can say that, sometimes we bring those emotions that we don't necessarily know how to process in the workspace.
Yeah.
And it's a lot around, not processed emotions and a lot of disappointment, and we bring that to the space, to the workspace. And I really feel that we need to learn how to grow on that. And not every woman, again, are doing that. Again, like
I understand you're speaking generally, but I think that those are such good points, in the sense that when we come, and I just imagine myself being one of those two women, and I'm thinking, okay, if I were them, if I was in that situation, I would dread going to work, right? But if I love my job, that makes me mad because I love my job and I want to do good at my job. The whole thing. And then, like you're saying, they quit talking over one another. So as you're telling the story, I'm watching this whole thing like I'm going, okay, they let go of one tiny resentment. Then they started listening to each other, which allows us to appreciate what someone else is saying, agree with them or not. We actually heard them, right? And then breaking bread with someone is so symbolic, right? To sit down and eat with someone, that's powerful.
It is.
Because, I prefer not to eat with people I don't like because it's not good for my digestion. I mean, I can do it, but, it's like when you have your choice. But then to get to the point where they're hugging each other, that is a upfront exchange of energy, right? So I just like the story is like you're changing like the energy or the coherence in the heart and the logic head at the same time.
Definitely. And that's part of my energy as well that I learned later on. Like I have this type of energy when I'm around people, like it's like it gives, it like there is a transformation, like a mutation, And even in the space where I live, in my personal life, when I go live somewhere, everybody's changing at one point, they are leaving, new people are coming. It's always like that. So I have this very mutative energy, and I felt that it was one of the reasons this could happen. But at the end of the day, that's not important. What is important that it was the team spirit. For me, it's the team spirit. The team spirit of we are working on a project together. We want this project to be successful because at the end of the day, we were in healthcare, so there were patients, at the end of the day. So how can we be happy? Not happy smiling every day, of course. We don't have to smile.
Content, though.
Yes.
Yeah, and fulfilled of doing good work that is meaningful in the world.
Yeah. So that's why I think it's one of the things. That's why the third pillar It's about emotional mastery, because we all can learn a lot about, how to process that. Actually, yesterday I was with a group of younger managers, and I told them, put in place right now, because they were younger, and I said, put in place right now something to know how to process your emotion right when it's happening, and something that you can process later on, at the end of the day, over the weekend or whenever. Put in place those two things. Find two ways where, you feel that you are triggered. What can you do right away? Even if it's just, being silent for a couple of minutes, just going back in your breath, find something, because this what's going to help you to go the long way. I always tell them, and do something later on to process, what was not processed, during those few minutes that you had when it happened. I always give this advice.
You're not advising people just to ignore it and tamp it down, right?
No.
It's like, but in the moment,
Yes.
I think that's the greatest gift of getting older. It's like you can look back and go, I did not handle that well. How could I have handled that better? I could have taken a breath. I could have breathed, right? I've taken 3 or 4 breaths and maybe not even said anything until everybody had spoken and I knew that my emotions were regulated. It doesn't mean, like you're saying, that you forget that they're there. Maybe you got mad. Maybe you were justified in that. But it wasn't going to help the work at hand, right?
Yeah.
But so what is one of your favorite ways? You talked about breathing. What have you found to be one of the quick, easy ways that people can remember? Because when you're triggered, sometimes your brain just doesn't stick around. You're like triggered.
For me, it's like, first of all, is to feel, to be aware. That's a good word, I think. To be aware that there is something that is triggering me. First of all, even before finding a way to process, like within the few minutes that I have, even before saying, okay, I have to breathe, even before that, I have to train myself to be aware that something is coming up and is triggering me. So for me, first of all, I say, okay, when you feel that starting to build up within me, when you feel that you are coming all red, when you feel that your wrists are starting, to when you feel that you are going probably to cry, that's you are in the zone of the emotions. So it's not the time to say anything. So the first thing I say, go back into your breathing. And usually when we, first of all, because we are not aware that it's coming up. And the second thing is like, we always feel that the silence, if I'm being silent, because usually that's the advice I give. I say, stop talking for 30 seconds, maybe like even a minute. And it's not that long. It feels like forever when you are in this 30 seconds, even 5 seconds sometimes. But sometimes it's better, because then people can see, if you are the leaders on top of that okay, he didn't answer, being triggered. He allowed. I mean, he gives himself the permission to be silent, not to answer right away, not feeling that if I don't answer right away, the other one is going, to step over me. I don't have this feeling. Okay, I'm just being silent. Doesn't mean I'm not going to come back. Okay, so it's like, first of all, for me, it's like, be aware how it's coming up, and we know usually, because it's usually the same way, for us. Some people is anger, some people is tears, some people is frustration, some people is disappointment, and it's coming up. Be aware, and then take a few seconds, a minute of silence, and breathe, and breathe, and breathe, and come back here. And that's the next step I say. And if you feel that this is not working, dare to say the meeting is over. Because a leader who is lashing out to the team is going to be more difficult later on to come back and say, okay, I mean, we can always say that we are sorry, that we are taking responsibility. It's okay. I mean, we have to learn to say that. But it's even better not to be in this situation where I have to say I'm sorry. So where can I say, okay, the meeting is over, if I am in the position to say that? Okay. If I'm not, okay, how can I, Maybe it's just, sometimes just taking a glass of water, taking a sip. Only that, the body,
Gives you enough time to slow down. Yeah.
And the more we do that, the more the body is used to that. That when we do that, the body knows that it's. So we train ourselves.
So that leads me to the question I was going to ask you is like, in the moment is not the time to practice, because the more we practice, like you're saying, the body knows like, okay, if I start breathing, that's a cue to start down regulating, calm down. And maybe it will work because breathing helps us do that, but it might not be as effective as if I practice breathing every day for a few minutes to just calm my nervous, even if I'm not being triggered, right? So that when I do it, my body goes, oh, this is cool. I know what this means. Everything's good. So if I were going to end a meeting, say that a bit like, and I'm the one triggered, and I know I do not want to do anything that then unnecessarily will erode trust or disrupt our work. I think what you said is be brave enough to end the meeting. And I think we don't give ourselves permission. We don't have to throw our stuff down and say, this meeting's over, and say, what would you say? Would you say something like, this would be a good time to let's walk away and come back later on this?
Yeah, even the saying that this meeting is over.
Well, I could say that. We're done here.
We're not here. No, I would say and it's practice. It's taking a lot of practice, 20 years, and I'm still practicing, all the time. And I could tell you a lot of story on that, but I want to speak about other stuff as well. But it's kind of like, okay, maybe this is not the right time for me to answer right now, because if I answer right now, it's going not to be okay. And if you are able to come to the point where you say that, it means that that it's not okay. And you can really do it, because actually it happened to me beginning of the year, the 4th of January, something like that happened to me. It was in a personal context. Someone who was important to me was lashing out at me for no reasons I didn't understand. And then I sat down and I said, okay, I think you are very angry right now. But what I don't know is are you angry to me or to something else or towards something else? And the answer from the person was no, to everybody. I said, okay, so maybe that's not the time right now to have this discussion. But the person was trying still to have the discussion. And each time I was going back to say, okay, what is it personal that I have to take, because I want to hear you, because you don't seem that you want to stop. It doesn't seem that you want to stop. So, and then, little by little, probably within 3 minutes, she came down. And we could have the discussion.
What a gift, though, to be able to be so present in yourself that you were able to help someone else just go, okay, let's get calm, without talking down to them. Like you're recognizing how angry they are, but what is your role in it, if anything?
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to know. What was my responsibility with that? There could be. There is sometimes some responsibilities. And one of the skills that we have to be trained on is responsibility. How do I take my responsibility? Because if I'm not able to take that, what am I going to tell to the people I want to lead?
Right. It's not everybody else's fault.
No, it's not.
It's so nice if you could blame everybody for your own stuff, but it's not accurate.
No, it's not. And at the end of the day, you won't be respected for doing that, So you don't. It means that you don't embody whatever you're trying to make them do. So
you have to walk the walk, your talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So what else would you say about soul-led leadership, though? I'm not sure we covered all of what really touches your heart around that, Valerie.
So the 4 pillars is basically, for me, the vessel. We are building the vessel. And I love, because 4 usually it's foundation. It's strong foundation. 3 is already good. 3 is good, but 4 is solid foundation. So we have to work on those 4 pillars. So you build your vessel, the vessel that you want And what is the vessel for? That's the question I ask myself, because we are building, but what for? What's the reason behind? At the beginning, I didn't know. And I don't know if all the listeners know what I'm speaking about. The vessel is to for what? It's to for something else, something bigger, to be able to come in. And do you know what is this something bigger, Sarah? I'm probably you know.
I'm saying it's up here, baby. It is our creator.
It's our creator, is our soul, our higher self, the source, the God self. You call it, you name it the way you want. But it can only come when this is solid, for leadership. I'm speaking about leadership here. And then when it comes, when it lands, it's like you are playing a different game. You are playing the game of being led by your soul. And what does it mean? It's the game of creation. And I love that. It means the vessel is so solid. Like when we want to send a space shift in space. Actually, there is so many pieces that don't go in space because they drop it. That's what it is for me. The four pillars. It's only there to hold what is bigger, what is higher, and then that's when all the synchronicities are coming. It's like when you think about something and the right person is showing up, or you have this idea, you don't even have to think. The idea is coming, and you don't know, intuition, we may call it that way. And it's taking the lead, and it's taking the lead for what? Because I always ask the question, I like to know for what, what is the reason behind that? And the reason is to play, a higher game. And what is this game? Is the game of expansion. And it's not only about expanding, a bigger business. It's not always a bigger money. It can be bigger money. I don't have anything against bigger money or bigger community, but it's to expand the vision, to expand, the possibility, to expand the creation zone, which is basically at the end, like we said when we started, let's play. Let's play. It can be that as well. And I'm saying that now with all those words, and basically I'm not, being, unrealistic, because I was the one who was, very, hands-on, down to earth, grounded, what's the 5 years, business plan, and, all that. I did that. And then little by little, working on the pillars, working on myself. Then today, it's amazing because actually it's less work, less, doing, and more being, and then something else is coming. It doesn't mean I'm staying on my couch doing nothing all day long. No. But ideas are coming up, possibilities are showing up. Like the other day, I wanted someone, to work on the business with me. And I said, who I'm going to, to hire? And I said, don't ask this question. And I was doing my yoga practice on my mat, and the name dropped like this. And the thing is, I didn't even think about that person. So I called her and I say, okay, I had this idea. Would you be interested? I say, oh yeah, I am so interested. But the mind, couldn't even bring me to this answer.
So you had to be open.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Open to receive.
Open to receive that, and open not to let your mind give me, okay, what are all the names I have? What are all the people? What are all the companies I can contact? Which we can always do. It's not a bad thing to do that, but it goes faster when we do it like this. What is the best answer for that? You put it, in the header, the answer, like you were saying. How can I do it better? You put it out there, and it happens when we don't, open, when you want to bake a souffle, don't open the.
I'm sorry. Me baking a souffle just cracks me up because I'm impatient. I would open the oven door and it would fall. But it's like patience, everything in its time. It'll work right if you allow it.
If you allow it.
Yeah.
And if you trust that doing that this way, and again, I'm saying that because I did the other way. Huh? So now I'm playing in this field, knowing that this is going to be the best timing. Like I was, I was doing the answer was, 2 days, not the answer, sorry. The fact that I needed someone in my team came, 2 days before. And then I say, okay, let's put it out there. It took only actually 2 days. And then I was doing my yoga practice, which I love my yoga practice. The name came in, call it, just after the yoga practice. Oh, by the way, yes, it's done deal. The contract is being issued. Let's go.
Very simple, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know I had a similar experience this week. I have a coach that I work with, and I needed to change it for a doc. I mean, last minute we had to change something. And when I talked with her yesterday, she said, I was just getting ready to text you to see if we could change it, but I hate changing things. And, and she goes, and then I get your text saying I need to move it so I can allow time for my broken wrist doctor's appointment, right? And she said, all I thought was, how great is that? Our energies are connected, and that I was so happy to change it. And I said, it works out. If you just trust, things will work out. Sometimes they do. Because, I've been in a place where what if I have to change something, I get like in a twist. Okay, what will this mean? Will it make this person upset? What's the impact? I'm thinking, slow down. This might be for your better good that it's happening this way. So trust. And so you talked about trust. You talked about receiving and allowing, right? So where do you leave that or weave it into leadership? Or is that like when you're talking, do you even talk about that? Or is that too woo-woo when you're doing your leadership?
No, actually, I think 2025 is really the year when I want to speak about that even more. You know why? Because at the end of the day, some people told me, the 4 pillars, everybody knows that. We don't name it that way, but everybody is saying that. So I said to myself, okay, what else can we bring, what is the next level? What was my experience? Because everything is based on my experience. So I was, doing that, very, the brain, the mind, very, left, left brain, in action. And then I spent like a couple of years, with, this other brain, allowing, I should say, the other part of the brain, which has always been there, to talk. And then I said, okay, how can we combine? Combination for me is like everybody's saying that the structure, the banks and the river. So the banks for me is the 4 pillars, and the river is the soul-led leadership. So yes, now I want to speak about that because, at the end of the day, if we can make our life better, easier, simpler, and bring a better world, why not?
Indeed, why not? What else should we be doing?
And to bring fun.
Oh, fun should be a part of it, right? Because if we're allowing and receiving, things are more fun.
Yeah. And then if everybody, I'm not saying everybody all the world because I don't know if this will happen, but if we can shift, at least on leadership, on that, and when you observe, those big leaders, they are led with something else. We can see it. We can see it. So,
you can see it because it takes more than just a book. I mean, you have to have some faith, and it has to come from somewhere, and it can come from yourself up to a point, but beyond that, you don't know enough, right? You have to really go, okay. And, I've had those insights where things come and I start laughing because I'm thinking, oh, that was so easy. And why was I making it so hard? So now when I think I'm going to do something, I'm going, especially if it's a new idea, I says, sleep on it.
Yeah,
just sleep on it. Don't do anything.
Which this has been there for a long time. I mean, sleep on it has been there, forever. We always say that. We didn't apply it.
Sleep on it, right? You're angry, sleep on it. But you're stuck on something, sleep on it. I mean, even today I'm reading, it's like, even if you just take a nap, right, it will reset things for you. And
which brings your focus on something else. Because when we bring the focus on trying to solve the issue, usually the idea doesn't come. This was an observation I had when I was working in those corporate settings. I don't smoke. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink, tea. I mean, in the space, in the workspace. So people would go, for a smoke, would go for, to take a break, which is fine. And they will come back, all refreshed and, with new ideas. And me, I was sitting at my desk, trying to figure out things. And I said, my God, he went on a break and then he's able to do all his work and he has good ideas. I should start now to go on break.
I should start smoking. No.
Yeah, I should start smoking.
A break is better.
Yeah, I
You don't want to go down the wrong health road.
Yeah.
No, but and it's hard when you're driven to work, like you were talking about, and coming from the logical brain part, right, where it's like just next task, do this, do that. It seems almost kind of weird to say I need to break now to be more productive. But when you do it and you come back, and I'll look at my notes, I'll walk away and come back and look, I'm going, oh, wow, okay, I get it, right? Because I'm making things too hard, frankly. I need to take a break. Go away.
Our mind is guilty as charged. I think I can say, of trying to make things harder, difficult, limiting beliefs. I know you had people talking about
well,
that.
and I think the mind likes to just twist things up so it can play with itself sometimes.
I think it likes to make us busy.
Well, so my new thing is when people say, I know you're really busy, and I go, I'm not busy. What I am is I'm either focused or I blocked out time because I need it. But I've realized when people say, can you do something? I will not allow myself to say I'm busy. I made a choice and now I need to make a different choice because it's kind of like, oh, they're so busy. I'm going, how do you know? Are they busy? Did you ask? Or are you assuming because they're kind of focused and doing stuff? So I do want to shift gears for a minute. Are you ready?
Always
ready. I like that. So I want to ask you if you had a chance to listen to a previous episode of the No Labels, No Limits. If so, what was the episode? Who was the guest? And what was one of your takeaways?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I listened to many of your guests, and the one I want to refer to was Mia show, she was talking about resilience, risk, and bold leadership, I think it was. And what she said, and I love it because it's like so true. She said, as entrepreneur, maybe that was not exactly the word, but so I'm sure she will be okay if I don't, quote the exact word. It's like entrepreneurs, we want to know about the step 20 where we haven't even taken, the step 1. So basically, I said, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying to my clients. Don't try to figure out there because you're only here, and there is only here actually. So do step 1, put your shoes on, take the step 1, and then we'll figure out, the step 2. But don't look at step 20. And I love that. I love so much when she said that because I said, that's exactly what I'm saying all the time to myself first.
And it seems so simple, but we forget that. It's like your souffle. Okay. This step says, let it cook for this long. And you're going, okay, now I want to see what it looks like. And you're not there yet. Exactly. And you can't be there until you finish your other steps. So now, Valerie, I believe you have an offer for our guests if they'd like to chat with you. Can you talk about that and how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. So the easiest way is to go on my website, because from there you can access to my LinkedIn, you can access my social media. So my website is Ellipsus, so which is ellips.us.com. So from there you can have like free activation. There is all my offers. There will be new stuff coming up, which is a leadership assessment, which is coming up, which I love. I built that last week. It's going to come up, which is going to be free. So you can assess yourself on those four pillars plus the last one. And I'm excited that because it's going to be how can I say that? What would be the word? So I would be thrilled for people to be. So from there, they can have access, to everything I can offer. And it's all around leaderships. It can be all around energy readings. What is it? Energy readings is like, how can I help you, to move faster in your business? That's what it is. So I combine all that so everything is in there.
So the energy readings, I'm very interested in energy. So
Yeah.
can you just take a couple of seconds and talk a little bit about that before we finish up the episode?
Of course, always. What I did, like, actually, if people go on there, they will see that on my social media, I did on behind the scene energy reading, so people can see what it is. So basically, let's say that you and me, Sarah, we are in a session, like, and you tell me, okay, Valerie, I'm struggling in my business. I say, okay, I would say, Sarah, what's the struggle? But that's the thing, it doesn't work. I don't know how to post on social media. I don't know what to say. Okay. And then what I would do is, like, I would look at your energy and say, okay, for you, it can be like, this is where the shift has to come, or maybe there is a conflict, or maybe there is an emotion that you have to process, or maybe you have to switch the way you are talking to your audience, because I can read that, what is the next step for you, or what is blocking. And when people put into application, because it's important, implement, if they do implement, we can see the shift.
Cool. Excellent. Energy is powerful stuff. Very powerful and available.
And available. So let's use it.
Let's do it. So Valerie, I'm going to let you have the final word on the podcast. So leave us with something you want us to remember that you always want people to remember, or something we talked about today, and then we'll close out this episode.
For me, I want to let people with this phrase that was from Gandhi, who led me into my life. Be the change that you want to see in the world. This phrase was always in my mind since I was 15 and led me up to here, and probably is going to lead me even more. Be the change that you want to see in the world, because it starts within us.
So there you have it, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners. What a great time with Valerie. As you know, we'll have all of her contact information in the show notes, so please take advantage of her offer. Go to her website, check it out. If something resonated that she said with you, that's fabulous. Follow up, because it's good to know, but it's better to move on what you know so that you can take a step forward. And with that, I will see you all next week with love and light. Sarah.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic business coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. Please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Till next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.